Dear students, you are welcome in this class. I'm very happy that you are participating in the class and most welcome. Good evening. It is 7th of February 2022. And today we are going to discuss organic matter in rice soils. So I would leave some kind of food for thought in your mind after the class is complete, because many times rice soils or cultivation of rice, particularly under submerged conditions or kind of wetlands, is cursed for emitting methane. So methane gas is emitted from paddy soils. But at the same time, you would be able to see that there is conservation of carbon, conservation of organic matter in wetland soils or in rice soils. If you grow rice, if you cultivate rice crop year after year, or take rice crop continuously, then if you just see organic matter content in rice soils increases continuously if you grow rice under wetland conditions or under submerged conditions. Very small fraction of that carbon is lost in the form of methane. And if the same quantity of organic matter is put under aerobic condition and anaerobic conditions, the decomposition rate of organic matter will be much faster under aerobic condition than in anaerobic or submerged conditions. So it is quite interesting topic, and hope you will learn something from this. And I would also try to explain you a meaning of organic matter. So overall, you will see, understand the definition, classification, and significance of organic matter in soil. You would also study organic matter in some other courses, but I would touch upon some definition, meaning, and try to clarify the things associated with soil organic matter. And then we will see how organic matter is decomposed under aerobic setting and anaerobic setting, and describe differences in soil organic matter content under comparable. Comparable means the similar soil condition and similar climatic condition and similar crop conditions, crop, soil, and climatic conditions. So under those conditions, we will see, is there any difference in organic matter decomposition for aerobic and anaerobic soil? So some terminology before we go into the details. Humification, you might be knowing humification. Carbon of organic substances is transformed. Transformed means here converted. Organic substances means organic matter you are adding in form of manures, green manures, or maybe in form of crop residues, whatever you are adding. So that is converted and resynthesized. So it gives you simpler compound, and also it gets resynthesized, means certain new chemicals can be formed. To humic substances, mediated means it with the help of biochemical, means organisms are there and some chemical reactions are there, some enzymatic reactions are there. So mediated by biochemical and physiochemical processes. Here physico, it should be physicochemical process. Physical means influenced by temperature, water, or some other physical parameters. So physicochemical processes, that is your humification. Simply conversion of organic material into humus is your humification. Then humus, that is the result of humification. Humification means result of humification is your humus. So total organic compounds or materials in the soil excluding undecayed plant and animal tissues, means soil organic matter minus undecayed plant and animal tissues makes your humus. Humus equals fulvic acid plus humin plus humic acids. So humus include your fulvic acid, humin, and humic acid. So these are actually components of humus, and there are certain non-humin components in humus. You will see later. often used to describe soil organic matter. Many times people take humus as synonymous to soil organic matter, but that is not a fact. Humus organic matter also include your other products of organic matter, like freshly added organic matter or undecayed organic matter, plus your organic matter, which is undergoing decomposition. Humic acid. Humic acid is dark colored organic material extracted from soil by various reagents like dilute alkali and is precipitated by acids. That is humic acid. It has relatively high molecular weight. Fulvic acid, light yellow colored material that remains in solution after separating humic acid and from humus by acidification. It is less dense, more aliphatic, and has a low molecular weight, means it is lighter in weight than humic acid. Humin, the insoluble component of SOM. So humin is insoluble component of SOM that remains after extraction of the other components, means your humic or fulvic acid have been taken out, then it is humin which is left, that are soluble in aqueous base. So initially you can take out substances which are soluble in aqueous base or alkali. Then whatever is left is your humin. Then Hemi Cellulose, it is consisting of polymers that are branched. The second most common carbohydrate, up to 30% in plant residues. Pectin is an example of hemicellulose. Labile, you might come across with prefix labile phosphorus, labile carbon, labile organic matter, and so on. So labile means a substance that is quickly transformed or used by microbes, that can be easily transformed or easily available. Labile organic matter is often associated with the active organic carbon, means which is taking part in reactions. Lignin, the third most common component of plant residues, it is present in woody or mature tissues and increases as plant ages. It is very hard to decompose. So lignin is difficult to decompose. Now, microbial biomass, it includes the smallest living organisms such as bacteria, fungus, protozoa, algae, means their weight of microbes is your microbial biomass. Soil carbon sequestration, the process by which carbon dioxide from the atmosphere is converted to organic carbon by photosynthesis, and then decomposition of that plant carbon into organic matter is stored in the soil. So this is meaning of soil carbon sequestration. Means it is a kind of cyclic, first the cycle starts. Where from cycle starts? In atmosphere, you have carbon dioxide. This carbon dioxide is used by plants for their photosynthesis. And then these plants are added into the soil. And then the decomposition starts. And part of that carbon goes back to atmosphere. And remaining part is left in the soil, which is your carbon sequestration. Means whatever carbon is left in the soil, unutilized, unused, and long-term kind of storage in soil. So starting from atmosphere, part of that carbon dioxide, which was fixed by photosynthesis, will be retained by the soil for long-term storage. The whole process is soil carbon sequestration. Now, total carbon in soil. In a simpler term, it is inorganic plus organic carbon in soil is your total carbon soil. Or in organic form, it is mostly in proteins, fats, bases, and some other forms. And in inorganic form, it is mostly carbonates and bicarbonates, maybe for sodium or hydrogen or other carbonates and bicarbonates. So total carbon, the total of all forms of carbon present in the soil, that is your total carbon. This is composed of microbial carbon, particulate organic carbon, fulvic acid, humic acid, non-humified carbon means all kind of organic carbon, and calcium and magnesium carbonates. It makes your total carbon. Now, importance of carbon. Carbon is really very, very important element in the nature. Our life revolves around the carbon. It makes carbon bonds form the skeleton for all living things. See the case of plant. 35 to 40% plants are made up of carbon. So it is second element by weight in the human body. And 40% of dry weight in plants is carbon. I think carbon makes the largest number of compounds in the nature. You can go through. It is really having variety of compounds, forms million of compounds. Some are common like carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide, and others are very, very precious resources like diamonds, petroleum, natural gas, hydrocarbons. So you have really carbon everywhere. It is the fourth most abundant element in the universe. Fourth most abundant element in the universe. Now, see, carbon cycle is very, very important for sequestration. And in carbon cycle, you have three important processes. Number one process is photosynthesis. Number two process, second process is respiration. And also third process is decomposition. So photosynthesis by plant, respiration by plant, and decomposition by organisms in soil. So these three processes are very, very important in the carbon cycle. So carbon may remain in a particular form for thousands of years, like you see in case of fuels, these hydrocarbons, the oil wells, or your coal. So it can remain for thousands of years, biochar, and it can be transformed into countless variations as its part passes through land, water, and atmosphere. So part of carbon revolves into different parts of the universe, maybe on Earth and outside the Earth in atmosphere. Carbon cycle includes carbon in storage, can be in sediments, soils, fossil fuels, etc. These soils can exist anywhere, maybe your cultivated soil, maybe in forest, maybe in some other parts, maybe riverbeds, and so on. So carbon, part of carbon remains in storage. Some carbon is in transitioning, means changing form from one form to another form. So carbon forms in atmosphere, maybe there. Carbon compounds in plant and animal life. So it is kind of circulation of carbon, which is known as carbon transitioning. The processes that cause carbon to change form, these are three important processes I have already told you: photosynthesis, respiration, and decomposition. So these are key processes, and you very well know what happens in photosynthesis. Green plant tissues capture the sun's energy to power reaction that combines carbon dioxide and water, and it synthesizes carbon compounds in the plant. And then organic matter or carbon is preserved in the plant, and part of that carbon is used in respiration by the plants. So living organisms break down carbon compounds to create energy. CO2 and water return to the atmosphere. So whatever carbon is synthesized by plant or fixed by plant through photosynthesis, part of that is retained in the plant and part of that is given back to the atmosphere by respiration. And this respiration also happens in soil by organisms when they decompose the organic matter. So part of carbon which was stored by the plant will go to the soil, and that can be respired by the organisms. So decomposition is also a key process of the carbon cycle. So what happens in decomposition? When you add organic matter into the soil, it breaks down carbon compounds produced during the growth. So for example, plants are made up of sugar, starch, protein, cellulose, fats, lignin. And you can put these organic material in other forms also, maybe fresh residues, maybe partly decomposed organic manures, maybe green manures, or any other organic materials. So during decomposition, it results in energy for macro and microbes who are doing the job of decomposition. So it is done by animals, arthropods, fungus, nematodes, bacteria. All kind of organisms are directly or indirectly involved in decomposition of organic matter. So for this, I already told you, go to Brady's book and read chapter on soil organic matter. You'll find there the role of these organisms, means kind of food web exists in the soil. And these organisms are also organic matter. They will also die, they will also add to the organic matter in soil. Carbon dioxide and stable organic matter are products of decomposition. So this decomposition will give you CO2 or sometimes methane under anaerobic decomposition and the other products of decomposition, mainly humus. So here we need to answer two questions. First is that carbon levels in the atmosphere are increasing due to human activities. You know about carbon dioxide levels, how far they are increasing every 10 years. And it is the result of human activities like burning fossil fuels, making cement, industries, burning coal and burning residues. So many reasons are there, deforestation. So carbon is stored underground for thousands of years is returned to the atmosphere. So due to human activities or burning of fossil fuels, carbon which was stored for long term is also coming to the carbon cycle in atmosphere. So slowly our this atmospheric carbon dioxide concentration are increasing and long term, the sequestered carbon is decreasing. In what ways, second question, in what ways could life around you be affected by increased carbon in the atmosphere? So there is no doubt all the people across the world, they are dealing with the climate change and increasing level of carbon dioxide and some other greenhouse gases is a matter of concern. So it will result in global warming, then climate change, then effect of climate change on human beings, on animals, on soils, on all sorts of living and non-living things are going to be affected by climate changes. So we need to give answers to those questions also. Now just restrict to rice now, or restrict to soil carbon, soil organic matter. So what are the forms of carbon that are found where rice plant is grown? So there are variety of carbon forms. First thing is that you need to see what are the carbon forms in the plant itself, in the plant roots, in the plant shoot. What are the carbon forms around the plant, in the air, in the atmosphere? What are the carbon forms in the soil? Because plant is growing in soil. So what are those carbon forms we need to know? So of course, not just rice, any plant, any green plant, it will get carbon by photosynthesis and it will emit or it will release carbon dioxide through respiration. So photosynthesis and respiration provide plants with carbohydrate and energy for growth. During plant growth, many carbon compounds are formed. So rice plant or rice residues will have sugar, protein, cellulose, wax, and lignin, etc. And then these materials will be added back to the soil, or at least roots will remain in the soil. So when plant dies, any plant dies, carbon compounds developed during growth are broken down. These compounds decompose at different rates. So these compounds or organic matter may come from any material, and sugar and starch are the first component or compounds that will be decomposed. The next is crude protein, cellulose and hemicellulose, fats and waxes, and in the end, lignin and phenols will be decomposed. So this is the sequence of decomposition of organic compounds in the plants. Now, in submerged rice paddy, so you have seen what are the components in plant, like carbohydrates, fats, proteins, vitamins, lignin, etc. These are part of the plant. Now, what are the carbon compounds in the submerged rice paddy? So you will find in soils a variety of carbon compounds in organic matter, and you will also find carbon dioxide in the soil and it will come out. And similarly, methane will also be produced in soil. So what are the sources of organic matter in paddy soils? It can be algae, also some algae grow in rice. Rice straw can be added, rice roots can be there, some green manuring can also be done, and so on. So there could be different sources and different forms of carbon or organic matter in rice soils. Now, before going back to the topic of carbon in paddy soils, just I would like to give you some introduction about soil organic matter. I believe that you understand some aspect of soil organic matter. Just it will refresh your memories. Kindly concentrate. So on the basis of organic matter content, soil can be divided into two: mineral soils and organic soils. Mineral soils are those soils which contain less than 30% organic matter, and organic soils contain more than 30% soil organic matter. So this is a standard definition of mineral soil and organic soil. So normally organic soils are not the best soils for any crop. Means more organic matter means there is less availability of sulfur, less availability of nitrogen, and many nutrients are not available. So ideally there should be at around 6%. People have done some experiment, and soils containing about 6% organic matter are the best. Of course, soils of 2 to 3% organic matter are also good. And it is difficult to find mineral soils which have 6% organic matter, but just for the sake of research, people have done it. Now, soil organic matter is any material produced originally by living organism. This point must be underlined by you. Soil organic matter is any material produced originally by living organism. So this is the simplest meaning of soil organic matter. Maybe plant or animal that is returned to the soil and goes through decomposition process. That is your organic matter, and at any given time, it consists of a range of materials from intact original tissues. Intact original tissues means freshly added or undecomposed original tissues of plants and animals to the substantially decomposed mixture of materials known as humus. So this is a complete definition of soil organic matter given by FAO. So another definitions, meaning of soil organic matter, like organic matter arising from living matter. Simplest meaning. In chemistry or soil science, referring is more specifically to matter relating to or containing carbon compounds. Matter relating to or containing carbon compounds is your organic matter for a soil scientist. More specifically, organic matter is composed of living and dead biomass, mainly of plant origin. So these are meaning of organic matter in brief. If you are asked that what is organic matter? Okay, matter arising from living matter is organic matter. So that kind of thing can be answered, the simplest definitions. Now, what are different parts of organic matter? The dead fraction is formed by chemicals. So organic matter can have two parts. One is living part, other is dead part. So the dead living part, you understand, it is made up of several organisms in the soil, maybe living organism. And then when they die or any other dead organic matter, that makes your dead fraction of organic matter. And it is formed by chemical and biological decomposition of live or fresh organic residues and is usually distinguished into two. So dead organic matter is divided into two: partially decomposed organic residues or organic matter at various degrees of decomposition, in which the morphology of plant material is still visible. So this is one part. You can recognize that this organic matter has come from sugarcane, this has come from leaf or any other part. So that is partially decomposed organic residues. Number two, completely decomposed materials with no traces of the anatomical structure of the original plant material from which they have been derived or they have been formed. Now, this can be divided. Now you can see the simpler, the same thing What you have seen in the last slide can be said in this way also. Unaltered material like fresh debris and non-transformed components of older debris and transformed products, humus, bearing no morphological resemblance to the structure from which they were derived, often referred to as humified product, but consist of both humic and non-humic substances. So humus is composed of humic substances and non-humic substances. Humic substances, you understand, fulvic acid, humic acid, and your humin are humic substances, but there are certain non-humic substances in humus. These are number 2A and 2B, amorphous polymeric brown-colored humic substances which are differentiated on the basis of solubility properties into humic acids, fulvic acids, and humins. So these are humic substances: humic acid, fulvic acid, and humus. So they are amorphous and polymeric. What is meant by amorphous? Can you tell me what is amorphous and polymeric? Can anyone answer it? The meaning of amorphous and polymeric. Is there any student who can answer it? Subrata.
Sir, amorphous means
Sir,
which cannot form any kind of crystal.
Not having a particular structure.
One person, Subrata.
Yes, amorphous means that substance which has no particular structure or definite structure.
Yeah, polymeric. Polymeric. Yeah, Shubham.
Sir, I was knowing only amorphous.
Okay, no problem. Now you see this, I have written for you, amorphous means
molecule.
Yeah, you are right. Just see here. Amorphous, lacking a crystalline structure. Something without, yeah, you are right. Something without solid form. Or you can say anything that lacks a distinct shape or organizing theme, be it a art or work. So that is your amorphous. It does not have any form. Polymer means, poly means many, mer means part. So it is a large molecule or macromolecule composed of many repeated subunits. Both synthetic and natural polymers are available. So this is your amorphous polymeric brown colored humic substances. Humic acid, fulvic acid, and humin. Number 2 category, compound belonging to recognizable classes such as polysaccharide. These are non-humic substances in humus. Polysaccharides, polypeptides, and altered lignins. These can be synthesized by microbes also, or can arise from modification of similar compounds in the original debris. So they can come in humus, and they can also be synthesized by soil microbes. Now you see soil organic matter. Just see this image if it is visible to you on the left side. Soil organic matter, just summary what we have seen just now. So soil organic matter, living organism, this is known as engine, soil engine. And then you can have decomposed plant and animal residues. It can be in 2 parts, unaltered material, which is potential food for organism. It is still undergoing the process of decomposition. And then transformed product. Transformed product can be 2, non-humic substances, food and energy, glue, and then humic substances, nutrient bank, and buffer. So these are different components of organic matter. And you see on the right circle, the percentage wise, what is made up of soil organic matter. So less than 5% is living organism, and stabilized organic matter, humus, 33 to 50%. The range is very large. It will depend upon climate, soil, and cropping conditions. And decomposing organic matter, that is active fraction. It is kind of food for organism. It consists of 33 to 50%, and fresh residue at any given point of time maybe less than 10%. So this is how This is typical composition of soil organic matter. Now, physical classification of soil organic matter is also there. How it can be classified physically. So you can see here, crop residues, they are freshly added material and particles greater than 2 millimeter. Then particulate organic matter, POM. Particles are less than 2 millimeter. And this is good for students of non-soil science. Soil science student might be knowing it, but students from agronomy, WST and other disciplines, they should know it, that particulate organic matter means particles less than 2 millimeter and more than and greater than 0.053 millimeter. Between this range, RPOM, it is biologically and chemically active and part of the labile, easily decomposable pool of soil organic matter. Then third part is humus. Particles are less than 0.053 millimeter, and it is very, very important for soil fertility, holds and releases nutrients and stores soil moisture. So this is the most important part which improves your physical properties of the soil. The fourth important part is recalcitrant or resistant organic carbon, ROC, biologically stable and typically as charcoal. So this is inactive part of organic matter. So this is physical characterization. Now, composition of soil organic matter is usually composed of, if you see elemental basis, so elemental basis, it is 50% on an average carbon, but it will vary. These are very average values. It is not the range. 5% nitrogen, 0.5% phosphorus, 0.5% sulfur, 39% oxygen, and 5% hydrogen. But these values can vary from soil to soil. But interesting fact, you can say the sulfur and phosphorus levels are almost similar here in the organic matter. And same is the case in the plant. In the plant also, their values in general are similar. Concentration of phosphorus and some sulfur is approximately similar in plant parts also. Now see composition of plant residues. You see this picture. If you take any organic matter, suppose water is 75% and dry matter is 25%. So in this 25% dry matter, what are different compounds? So you can see here, cellulose makes up 45%. This is from Whale and Brady book, Nature and Properties of Soil. So it can. So we come back to this figure again. So you can see composition of plant residues. So if we see compound wise, cellulose are 45% and protein about 8%, lignin 20%, Hemi Cellulose 18%, fat and waxes 2%, polyphenols are 2%. So you can see these are major compounds. Sugar and starches 5%. These are average values of compounds. So you can see major part are cellulose, proteins, lignins, hemicellulose, and some less prominent part are proteins, sugars, and starches, fats, and waxes. And elemental basis, you can see organic matter is composed of 42% carbon, 8% hydrogen, 42% oxygen. So largely plant body is made up of carbon and oxygen, 42% oxygen and 8% hydrogen, and ash is your 8%. So this ash contains all kind of minerals, maybe 60 minerals or more than 60 minerals. So this is typical composition representative of green plant materials. The ash is considered to include all the constituent elements other than carbon, oxygen, and hydrogen. Now, organic materials and organic matter around the rice plant and in rice plant. Organic materials are plant and animal residues not yet added to soil. Organic materials, this is different from organic matter. So organic matter means organic materials are made up of organic matter. So organic materials are plant and animal residues not yet added to the soil. Rice straw and animal manure are the materials, organic materials. Soil organic matter is organic material within the soil. Now, decomposition of soil organic matter. This is important. What happens when organic materials are added to the soil? So once organic materials are added to the soil, decomposing organism may come and they will start digesting it. Decomposition, however, decomposition speed and rate will depend upon several factors. Warm soil temperature. Normally, warm or higher, relatively higher soil temperatures are required for faster decomposition. At cool temperature, at low temperature, decomposition rates are slower. Adequate soil moisture means you need right quantity of moisture. Generally, moisture around field capacity will give you maximum decomposition of organic matter. If you remove the moisture from the soil, the decomposition rate declines. Or if you increase or if you bring too much of moisture in the soil, decomposition rate declines. So you need ideal levels of soil moisture because of microbial activity. You need microbial activities are to be performed to get decomposition of organic matter. And of course, good aeration. As you decrease the aeration, then your decomposition rate declines. So these factors affect and also the population of the microbes. Carbon compounds remaining after decomposition become part of a stable soil organic matter called humus. So at the end, you obtain humus. So you can see decomposition processes of organic matter, soil organic matter. It is very simple picture, try to understand it. So you start from the central part. Source of soil organic matter are litter, organic manures, roots, dead organism, excrement of living organism. And then they contain certain complex organic molecules. These organic materials are made up of carbohydrates, proteins, lignins, fats, and others you have seen. Now they are to be broken down by microbes. And this happens through oxidative decomposition. So it can be oxidative decomposition under aerobic conditions, but it can also decompose differently under anaerobic decomposition conditions. So this is under aerobic conditions, and you can have two processes. These two processes happen hand in hand. Your organic matter is decomposing. So one part is going to humification and other part is going to mineralization. In humification, synthesis of organic compounds such as fulvic acid, humic acid, you have seen what happens in humification. Humus is produced. So this is one part of decomposition. Side by side, another part is mineralization. Organic compounds are converted to inorganic forms, and then nutrients are released. Like protein, you remember aminization, ammonification. So they happen side by side. And then mineralization, once the minerals are formed, the minerals can leach down, the minerals can form some chelating complexes, or these minerals can be immobilized by the plant, by the organisms in soil, or then the organism can release them. Some can be used by organisms, some can be used by plants, plant roots, and some can be fixed, some can be immobilized. So this is how the decomposition of soil organic matter happens. You get humus, you get minerals, and this humus, most of the humus is stored in soil. However, these elements or nutrients, they can be taken up by plants, they can be taken up by microbes, or they can be immobilized, or they can be lost also. Some can be lost. So these minerals which are formed on decomposition or mineralization can have 4 different routes or 5 different routes, can be taken up by plant, can be leached down, can be volatilized, can be taken by microbes, or can be converted into unavailable form by process of immobilization. Now you see, this is another picture to make you more clear what happens in humification. So you see, when you add plant and animal residues, there can be 2 conditions. One can be aerobic, other can be anaerobic decomposition. So first, you can see first is starch, sugars, starch, hemi cellulose, cellulose will get decomposition. an anaerobic decomposition or aerobic decomposition. If it is anaerobic decomposition, you will get organic acids, alcohol, and these will be further decomposed to produce carbon dioxide and water. But the speed of decomposition is much slower. Then you get aerobic decomposition by aerobic organism, and you get carbon dioxide and water. And they can be resynthesized. These sugar starches, hemicelluloses, and celluloses, they can be resynthesized by soil microbes, and they can be part of their bodies. And they can further decay, and then the cellulose and proteins can be produced or can be part of microbial bodies. This is one pathway. In another pathway, aerobic decomposition, you get carbon dioxide and water. The next is your amino acids, peptides, polypeptides, and proteins. So they are going for mineralization. And they can produce your ammonium nitrate, carbon dioxide, water, and sulfur, etc. And then they can be resynthesized also. Another path of amino acid, peptides, polypeptides can be resynthesis by microbes. And these microbes can die or their death. They will release your cellulose or proteins, and all these materials of resynthesis and microbes will ultimately become part of your humus. Now, what happens to fats, waxes, and resins? They are directly decomposed to carbon dioxide and water. Lignin, it is converted into residual lignin, phenol, quinone, etc. And then it becomes part of your humus. Certain soil nutrients or bases or metals can be absorbed, can be made part of your humus. So this is how this organic matter decomposes in the soil to humus. Now, things to consider. Soils rich in organic matter are characteristically dark in color. More humus, more organic matter, they show generally dark color. Soil organic matter contains 3 to 4 times as much carbon as found in all the world's living vegetation. Means the soil stores more carbon than your living vegetation, which is 3 to 4 times more than the vegetation. The mean level of organic carbon in the topsoil of lowland rice areas across tropical Asia varies between 1 to 2%. Means rice soils generally contains 1 to 2% carbon in Asia. Now, what are different products of decomposition? Just now, you have seen water, carbon dioxide, alcohol, acetone. These are the products of decomposition. So in aerobic soil, there is a significant diversity of decomposing organism. You get more diversity, more organism in aerobic setting or aerobic soil. Aerobic respiration results in more energy than anaerobic respiration. Significant portion of digested carbon is released as carbon dioxide. So it is mostly carbon dioxide which is released under aerobic decomposition of organic matter. Now, under anaerobic conditions, what happens to organic matter? It is, first thing is that the decomposition rate is very slower. There are fewer decomposing organisms, mostly anaerobic organism, and less energy is produced during anaerobic respiration. This fact is known to you. But the products are also different under submerged soil or anaerobic conditions. Methane is produced and buildup of transition products like organic acids and alcohol. They are produced and their production is slow and they can be toxic to the plants and organisms themselves in the soil. Now you can compare the products of decomposition in aerobic soil and aerobic soil. For carbon, it is CO2. In aerobic soil, in submerged, both CO2 and methane are produced. Remember, it is not just methane, but carbon dioxide is also produced under submerged conditions. Nitrogen in aerobic soil, it is eventually converted to nitrate, but in submerged, there is no nitrification, only ammonium form of nitrogen is there. Sulfur is sulfate in aerobic soils and sulfide, hydrogen sulfide in submerged soil. Others, mostly organic acid and alcohol in submerged soil. So why methane is significant? You must be listening to people that methane, rice produces methane. Let us ban the rice crop. Most of the environmentalists or scientists from environmental science, they curse methane, and methane is basically released from agriculture by your rice soils or paddy soils, and animal livestock are the two important sources of methane. So in the past few decades, methane has been monitored because of its role in climate change. Carbon dioxide and methane both contribute to the greenhouse effect, you know it, and methane is 25 times more potent than carbon dioxide in absorbing radiation reflected from the Earth's surface. So it is more, it has more global warming effect, this methane, than carbon dioxide. It traps more energy. Now, movement of methane into the atmosphere. Now you know that decomposition of organic matter in paddy soils under submerged conditions results in production of methane. So methane moves from soil into the atmosphere by these three processes. Three processes are important through which methane produced in soil reaches atmosphere. Number one is ebullition. EBULLITION. Ebullition means bubbling through the soil and water layer. So methane comes methane comes in the form of bubbles through the water, and it comes to the atmosphere. This is ebullition. Diffusion, moving from areas of high to low concentration. So when methane is produced in rice soil, so when it gets accumulated and it is under pressure, so then it will slowly start moving through the process of diffusion. Then third one is emission. Passing through rice plant parenchyma and out from the leaves. So this is most significant way of methane release from paddy soils, and most methane in rice paddy moves from soil to atmosphere via emission. So students must remember this, that methane is produced in rice soils, and this methane passes through roots and then shoots, then leaves. So through leaves, it is emitted outside and it comes to the atmosphere. This process is known as emission. So emission is not with the help of plant. It is with the help of the rice plant. So 20 to 90% of the methane produced in flooded soil is oxidized to carbon dioxide before being released to the atmosphere. So this is interesting fact that methane is produced in paddy soil, but all methane does not come to the atmosphere. Most of the methane produced in rice soil is first converted into carbon dioxide, and this carbon dioxide may come out of the soil. So methane comes out of soil via carbon dioxide. This is one option. Another option is that methane around the methane, part of the methane comes to the rice roots and it is transmitted through the rice plant parenchyma cells and it is emitted. That is emission. So conversion of carbon dioxide to methane and conversion of methane to carbon dioxide also happens in these soils. It is quite interesting. You can see in this picture that decomposition of organic matter gives methane, and near the rice roots where you get oxygen is there and carbon dioxide is there. Sorry, oxygen is there. Then this methane is oxidized to carbon dioxide, and this carbon dioxide will be released from soil. So this is how methane is converted to carbon dioxide. Now, why is organic matter important? Advantages and disadvantages. Whether it is rice soil or any soil, organic matter is very, very important. Number one advantage is it is source of plant nutrients. Just you have seen mineralization. Through mineralization, nitrogen, phosphorus, sulfur, and many other nutrients are released into the soil. Source of, please put off your mic. Your mic is on. Someone's mic is on. Yeah. So first thing is that it is source of nutrient. It supplies nutrient, and like sulfur and phosphorus, you can see in this picture, decomposition of organic matter through mineralization releases nutrients. So this is number one advantage. Second is humus is produced. Finally, you get humus is produced. So This humus is also organic matter, and it can store certain nutrients like your potassium, calcium, magnesium, and other nutrients, chelating agent. Now, third important, there are many more roles of organic matter. It provides food for soil organism and microbes. So multiplication of microbes is helped by organic matter because it is food. And there are several indirect advantages of humus or organic matter, that it binds soil particles together, means it improves physical properties of the soil. Aggregates help water movement in soil. Soil aggregation happens because of humus, and water storage capacity happens, root growth improves, and they aid in soil's water holding capacity, and soil erosion is reduced due to binding of particles, aggregate formation, and it encourages root development as a result of improved soil structure. So there are many roles of organic matter in any kind of soil. It provides nutrients, it stores nutrients, and it increases the biological activity, improves physical properties of soil, and also regulates or maintains or affects soil pH. Under aerobic, continuously oxidized and lost as carbon dioxide. And if you have tillage, too much of tillage, it aerates the soil, and decomposition of organic matter is accelerated by tillage. Soil aggregates are important in aerobic soil for aeration, drainage, and water holding capacity. So it is having positive role there. Organic material should be added to sustain the, so ultimately you must add organic matter to the soil. One cow will not be enough for 35 acres. You need to have organic matter additions in the soil. Now let us come to the main topic, that is organic matter in submerged soil or rice soils or wetlands or paddy soils. Organic matter decomposition rates are slower in submerged soils than aerobic soils and causes net accumulation of soil organic matter. This is important. So rice soils or paddy is helping to accumulate organic matter in soil or for carbon sequestration. So it is often unnecessary to add additional organic material to sustain organic matter levels in soil. So if you are continuously growing rice, then you don't need to add organic matter from outside, because 10% the roots, roots also add some quantity of organic matter to the soil, and decomposition rate is also slow. So in continuous submergence condition, you need not to add any organic matter from outside. But what are the reasons why there is slow decomposition of organic matter under submerged soils? So you need to remember 3-4 points. Number one, deleterious effect on microbial activity of reduction products. First thing is that aerobic organisms are not there. They are mostly anaerobic organisms, and these anaerobic organisms are less in number, and they also produce some toxic substances in the soil, and these toxic substances further reduce the population of microbes which are making them. So it is just auto-killing, kind of auto-killing. So deleterious effect on microbial activity of reduction products. H2S, volatile fatty acids, and toxic concentration of ammonia, ammonical ions, aluminum, iron, they can affect the microbial population. So that is why the slower decomposition. Number two, the absence of electron acceptors such as iron oxides. There are no oxides under reduced conditions, and hydroxide in submerged soils, and sediment slows down the organic matter oxidation and mineralization. Formation of recalcitrant complex organic molecules with organic fractions. So through enrichment of organic matter with phenolics in intensified irrigated rice production system may render them less available for microbial attack and utilization. Means the organic matter fraction of organic matter is converted to recalcitrant complex organic molecules, which are less affected by microbial activity. So therefore, slowly, the organic matter levels increase in submerged soils. The net primary productivity of wetland is also higher than other ecosystem because of algal growth. Algae are also there in wetlands. If you go, you will find some algae, even in rice soil. If it is not blue-green algae, variety of wild algae also grow in rice fields. So these algae also contributes to organic matter. Some are on the surface and some may be suspended in the water. You must visit a pond in rural areas. You will find a lot of vegetation in wetlands. Now, slow decomposition. The decomposition rate constants under anaerobic condition are the sum of water-soluble carbon, carbon dioxide, and methane production. So under anaerobic conditions, the decomposition rate constants are much less than the aerobic conditions. So the decomposition rate constant, you need not to go into the details of this, but try to understand that rate of decomposition is much slower under anaerobic condition than aerobic condition, and it can be quantified by rate constants per day. So you can see rapid. There can be two stages of decomposition. In the beginning, it can be rapid, and then there can be intermediate speed and then slow speed. So at rapid speed under anaerobic condition, the rate constant is just 0.118, but in aerobic it is 1.23. At intermediate decomposition phase, in aerobic condition, it is 0.024. However, in aerobic, it is still higher, 0.059, which is more than double. So here, this data in table just indicate you that there is very fast decomposition under aerobic than in anaerobic conditions. So see, another aspect is humification coefficient. The speed of conversion it is fraction of amount of organic matter input that is converted to humus material. You need to remember this. Humification coefficient is the fraction of organic carbon left or retained in the soil after 1 year of decomposition. Means what fraction has been decomposed. Or in other words, you can see definition on the left side. HC is the fraction of amount of organic matter input that is converted to humus material. That is known as humification coefficient. So you can see values vary with the plant material. For rice root, they contain 46% carbon on an average. Then humification coefficient is 0.5, means roots can be easily decomposed, but rice stubble contains 0.23, 43% carbon, and their humification coefficient is 0.23. Similarly, for rice stalk, 0.223, wheat, barley, and millet stubble, 0.31, wheat, barley, and millet, 0.32, and azolla, 0.43. So these are comparative figures of humification coefficient. Don't bother about these figures. You can just remember that certain plant materials decompose fast and certain decompose slow, mainly because of differences in humification coefficient. Now, this is very interesting data on soil organic matter in submerged soils. You can see effect of water regime on organic matter. What these submerged soil, flooded soil are doing for improvement in organic matter content. See, these are 3 different locations in China: Jiangsu, Jiangxi, and Guangdong. In Jiangsu, the soils were waterlogged, and they were identical soils, means same area, same field, but soils were waterlogged. So organic matter in long run was 3.47%. And in well-drained soils, aerobic soils, it was 2.2%. So see the difference in organic matter because of rice cultivation. All other things were same. In Jiangxi, waterlogged condition, organic matter was 3.23%, and in well-drained soil, it was 3.08%. In Guangdong, waterlogged soil 3.12 and well-drained soil 2.12. So you can see the difference. If you have waterlogged soil and growing rice, you will have more organic matter than well-drained soils. Now see one more case, organic carbon and total nitrogen content of 4 soils from Philippines, varying in intensity of irrigated rice cropping. Now see, if it is dryland rice, here dryland rice means upland rice, aerobic conditions. So organic carbon is 3 gram per kg. Total nitrogen is 1.25 gram per kg soil, and CN ratio is 10.4. See rice soybean system. Here carbon content is 13.3. So here you are taking just 1 crop of rice, and your carbon content is 13 gram. But if you take double crop of rice, carbon content is doubled. By taking 2 crops of rice, it has become 22.5. If you take 3 crop of rice, then 28.8 gram of carbon. So see the second column of carbon, organic carbon content increases if you increase the number of rice crop. 1 crop, 2 crop, and 3 crop, they are increasing the carbon content. So this is long-term data about, and similarly, you see about the nitrogen also. Nitrogen content also increases in general. Effect of rice-based cropping system on organic matter content of paddy soil. See some more data in different locations in China. If you, in Hubei, if you have continuous rice, organic matter is 2 to 2.15%. If you have rice as a dryland crop, less water, so organic carbon is less. In Zhejiang also, if you have continuous rice, carbon content, sorry, organic matter, this is organic matter. Organic matter content is 3 to 5%, see, 3 to 5%. But if you have just 1 crop of rice and rice cotton, carbon content is 2 to 2.87%. If you, another location in Tayu Lake region, rice wheat 2.74%, rice wheat it is 2.45%. So in the first case, you are taking 2 crops, rice, and then wheat. So here more. And last is Shanghai. You can see rice wheat 2.14 and rice wheat just 1.58. So 2 crop, 3 crop of rice will accumulate more carbon. Now, what is the position of nitrogen accumulation? It is influenced by water regime and application of rice straw in an experiment country. This is from Vietnam, I think. Philippines, sorry, this is from Philippines. So you can say if you take 2 wetland rice crop with dry fallow, 118, you take 2 wetland rice crop plus rice straw, then nitrogen accumulation increases to 208 kg. If 2 wetland rice crop with flood fallow, then also nitrogen increase, and 2 wetland crops with rice crops plus rice straw and flood fallow, so it is 317. So 2-3 conclusion we can draw from this table, that as you increase the, as you go on adding the rice residues, the nitrogen content is increasing. As also you increase the fallow period, even without the rice crop, carbon content in soil is increasing. Or sorry, this is nitrogen accumulation. So finally, this is last table for today. You can see global carbon stocks in soil in major ecosystems. And you can see there are different ecosystems in the world. This is world data. Area, so you can see area. This desert and semi-desert ecosystem occupies the largest area in the world, which is 45.5 into 10 to the power 6 square kilometer. After that, the next important ecosystem is your tropical savanna, is number 2, 22.5. And the third one is your croplands. So croplands are the third important ecosystem, which is 16. And croplands are commonly called as agroecosystems. So agroecosystems are 16 into 10 to the power 6 square kilometer. So these are the 3 important ecosystems. And now you see average carbon density. Which system has highest average carbon density? Means tons per hectare. Megagram means tons per hectare. So you can see the wetlands. So here you see wetland is just rice or paddy soils are representative. They are not, in truly sense, they are not wetlands, but they are representative of the wetlands because they are submerged lands or flooded lands. So you can see in wetlands, you get 642 tons per hectare of carbon density. Highest, maybe almost double than the boreal forest. So that is why swamp areas or some areas like those where water is there, so you get more organic matter in those soils. So because decomposition is slow, 642 tons of carbon per hectare in wetlands, and the next is your boreal forest, which have 344 tons of carbon per hectare, and then temperate grasslands. Temperate grassland have 236 carbon, kg carbon or tons carbon per hectare. So this temperate grassland, because here temperatures are low, therefore they also have very high carbon density. And now see, overall soil carbon stock is highest in boreal forest, 471 pg. Pg means petagram is equal to 10 to the power 15 gram or billion ton. So boreal forests are important sink of carbon. They have sequestered the carbon. And then next best is your 295 temperate grassland. So likewise, you can try to understand this table I will share. So practices to enhance the soil organic matter levels. Now, two more slides, this one and next one. So what can be done to increase the levels of organic matter? Reduce tillage and adoption of conservation agriculture. It has been proved that if we adopt conservation agriculture, it increases carbon content and organic matter and reduces soil erosion. Efficient handling and management of crop residues. I've already discussed your rice straw management. You can increase the carbon content in soil by adding residues and other organic materials. Regular application of organic amendments, manures, compost, biocell solids, adoption of sustainable soil management practices. It is also important to conserve the organic matter in soil. Whatever we have added to the soil, that must be conserved. That means we need to reduce the soil erosion. That will lead to sustainable soil management. Adoption of crop rotations to include legumes and cover crops, green manure crops can add organic matter to the soil. Precision agriculture, including variable rate application of fertilizer, can also improve organic matter content in soil. Fertilizers help in the improvement of organic matter in the soil. Wherever feasible, adoption of agroforestry can be done because agroforestry is also good for reducing the soil erosion and adding and litter fall is there. Optimize the irrigation practices. We can optimize irrigation practices, manage the soil to maintain or increase soil crumbly structure and soil pore spaces. That helps to reduce erosion and increase organic matter, and contribution of plant root will be more if you have crumbly structure. When conditions are suitable, add suitable commercially available biofertilizer. Wherever possible, biofertilizer should be part of INM because they also increase carbon content. Reduce the use of pesticide and toxic chemicals. It is necessary because they can reduce the biological activity in the soil. They can reduce the activity of microbes in the soil. Keep soil pH at around neutral and balanced soil. Means keep your chemical conditions of the soils to the best. And this ends the presentation here. And I'm really thankful to you for attending this lecture. And I can stop.